Let's go live to NBC News foreign correspondent Raf Sanchez, who is in Ashdod, Israel this morning. Raf, you're covering the explosion in Gaza City yesterday. What more can you tell us?
Well, Mika, it's been nearly 20 hours since that explosion, but the fog of war is still hanging very heavily over the Al Ahli hospital in Gaza City. Here's what we know. The Palestinian Health Ministry says this was a direct hit by an Israeli airstrike. They say several hundred people lost their lives. Many of them were in the courtyard at the front of the hospital. These were families who believed fatally, as it turns out, that they might be safe if they stayed on the hospital grounds. But Mika, over the course of the morning, the Israeli military has been releasing what it says is evidence that shows that this was in fact a misfired Palestinian rocket. That evidence coming in two forms. One, a drone video over the hospital where the Israeli military says you cannot see what would be a telltale sign of an Israeli strike. You cannot see a crater, which you would expect to see if Israeli heavy ordnance was dropped on this hospital. Second, they have released what they say is a phone conversation between two Hamas officials intercepted by Israeli intelligence, where they seem to acknowledge that this was a Palestinian rocket fired by Palestinian Islamic Jihad, which fell on the hospital. Now, we should be really clear. NBC News has not been able to independently verify either of those Israeli claims. We are not able to get to the hospital ourselves. The Gaza-Israel border is sealed. The Gaza-Egypt border is sealed. We should say Hamas, Palestinian Islamic Jihad, do not acknowledge when their rockets fall inside Gaza, but we know that they do. They misfire sometimes and they fall inside of Gaza. We should also say, Mika, this death toll being provided by the Palestinian Health Ministry, it does not tally with what you would expect from an errant Palestinian rocket. These rockets are deadly, they are dangerous, they do not tend to kill hundreds of people, whereas an Israeli heavy bunker buster bomb, the kind which we know Israel is using inside of Gaza, trying to target these Hamas tunnels, those do have the potential to kill hundreds of people. But again, we are not at this moment seeing signs of the crater that you would expect to see from a bomb like that. President Biden today saying it appears that the other team, as he phrased it, i.e. the Palestinian fighters inside of Gaza, are responsible, but he acknowledges the United States just doesn't have enough information at this point. Mika.
Right. So many challenges and unknowns that President Biden is placing himself in the middle of. The King of Jordan, Raf, says his country will not accept Palestinian refugees from the Gaza Strip as Israel appears poised to launch a ground assault on Gaza in response to the assault on Israel. Kim Abdullah warned that trying to push Palestinian refugees into Jordan or Egypt would be a, quote, red line for both nations. The Jordanian leader made the comments in Berlin following a meeting with German Chancellor Olaf Scholz. The only way Palestinians can currently leave Gaza is through a single border crossing with Egypt.
No refugees in Jordan, no refugees in Egypt. This is a situation of humanitarian dimension that has to be dealt inside of Gaza and the West Bank, and not to try and push the Palestinian challenge and their future onto other people's shoulders.
The Egyptian government has reportedly been reluctant to accept refugees over concerns there would be no way for them to return to their homes. Meanwhile, Egypt still negotiating with Israel on allowing humanitarian aid into Gaza from its crossing points. Trucks loaded with assistance have waited for permission to cross into the country, but Israel is searching all deliveries, making sure that aid won't benefit Hamas. So different than what we saw in Ukraine, by the way, Raf, where neighboring countries immediately embraced all refugees escaping the war. Explain the dynamics here. Why Egypt and Jordan don't want any refugees, Palestinian civilians who are in the line of fire, and what are the options?
So, Mika, for both Egypt and Jordan, they see an influx of Palestinian refugees as potentially highly destabilizing. We should say the Jordanians have already accepted millions, literally, of Syrian refugees over the course of the Syrian war. And for the Palestinians, for a lot of Arab countries, the story of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict is a story of Palestinians being displaced from their homes during wartime and then not being able to come back afterwards. And so the concern for people inside Gaza who don't want to leave their homes, but also for these neighboring Arab states, as well as their cynical calculations, is that if these Palestinians go in large numbers out of Gaza, they will not be allowed to go home, that they will be one step further away from their historic homeland. We should say there's a lot of realpolitik here. You know, in Egypt, for example, the economy is really, really struggling. They do not want to take the burden of hundreds of thousands, millions of Palestinians from Gaza. Mika, we should say there is no question of Israel taking these refugees either. Israel has not offered to allow any of these civilians to come out through either of the border crossings in Gaza because, frankly, at this point, nobody wants these Palestinian refugees, which, as you say, is such a different picture from what we saw in Ukraine. Mika.